We begin tonight with breaking news in Phoenix, where police are investigating a shooting right now. Let's bring you some live pictures from the scene near 7th Street and Indian School, where there's an ongoing search for a suspect. Phoenix police say a man was shot just after 8 o'clock this evening and rushed to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Investigators now using canines to try to track the suspect down. They're asking people who live in the area to stay inside their apartments. Be sure and stay with 12 News overnight for additional updates.
Vallow Daybell, as to the crime of count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder occurring on or about July 11, 2019, guilty.
That was the moment that a jury found Vallow Daybell guilty of conspiracy to commit murder. The Doomsday Mom had already been convicted of killing 2 of her children in Idaho. Now she's been found guilty of conspiring to kill her husband, Charles Vallow, in Chandler back in 2019. Good evening and thanks so much for joining us. For 12 News at 10, I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. We have team coverage for you of all the sides of today's verdict. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono is live outside the Maricopa County Courthouse where the trial took place. She talked to several of the jurors after they reached the verdict. But let's begin our coverage with 12 News journalist Erica Stapleton, who's been covering this case for several years now. Erica?
As Vallow Daybell sat in the courtroom and listened to a jury find her guilty, Charles Vallow's family and others in the courtroom let out a sigh of relief.
A moment of truth for Vallow Daybell.
Guilty.
A reckoning for Charles Vallow's family.
6 years of walking the pits of hell every day. I'm ready to move on. It's time.
A jury found Vallow Daybell guilty of conspiring with her brother to kill her former husband Charles Vallow back in 2019, all so she could take his money and be with her new husband, Chad Daybell. She's already been convicted in Idaho for murdering her children, Tylee and JJ, and her role in the death of Tammy Daybell, Chad Daybell's first wife. In this case, the prosecutor brought in almost 20 witnesses and showed the jury text messages, phone calls, and police video to make her case for a conspiracy. Vallow Daybell, who represented herself, claimed self-defense and didn't call any witnesses or present any evidence.
We got you. And you're not the smartest person in the room.
Charles's sister, Kay Woodcock, and brother, Jerry Vallow.
You can just hide away and everybody's going to forget about you. We'll be on our way through our life and she'll be rotting in prison where she deserves to be.
And like Charles always used to say, love always wins.
Kay Woodcock even taking the stand in this trial, facing off with Vallow Daybell in cross-examination.
Ms. Woodcock, did you see or hear or personally witness me conspire with Alex Cox to kill my husband, Charles Vallow?
No, but I saw a ton of evidence that did.
She's an actress. She turns on this persona and goes with it, and then boom, she turns it off, and then there's the real her, whatever the real her is. You know that baby talk she does, that baby voice? She needs to lose that, man. But I hope she grows up in prison and learns how to talk like a woman.
She's testified in Idaho, too, enduring trial after trial. Now, it's Charles Vallow's turn for justice.
And as a parting shot, they got the again.
Vallow Daybell is facing another conspiracy to commit murder charge here in Arizona. That case is set to go to trial in the next couple of months. Once her cases in Arizona wrap up, she'll be extradited back to Idaho, where she will serve the rest of her life in prison. Erica Stapleton, 12 News.
All right, Erica, thank you. Well, anytime that there is a high-profile case like this one, many are wondering what is going through the jury's mind. Well, minutes after the verdict came down of guilty, we got a first chance to hear from some of those jurors. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono is joining us live outside the courthouse. And Bianca, I think a lot of people will be surprised to know, but these jurors confirmed that they didn't know anything about Vallow Daybell's history, and in fact, the fact that she had killed her kids, right?
That's right. I had an opportunity to speak with 3 of the jurors, and all 3 of them said they had no idea. They said they were planning on Googling Vallow Daybell as soon as they walked out of the courthouse today. But some of them did tell me they had a feeling that key details were being left out.
It's insane. honestly.
Jurors in the Lori Vallow Daybell murder conspiracy trial sharing insight into their decision minutes after delivering a guilty verdict.
It was all about the evidence, really.
Jurors who spoke outside Maricopa County Superior Court say they knew the case was high profile given the presence of a camera, but did not know why.
It's been pretty crazy. We've been having to go through back ways so that we're avoided by everyone, so there's no questioning.
They were given strict instructions not to research the case or watch any news coverage, unaware of Vallow Daybell's previous convictions, including for murdering her 2 children, JJ and Tylee.
Was that difficult going through this and not being able to be disconnected?
Yeah. It just felt like there was a lot of information that didn't make sense and that was missing.
Tylee was there the day Charles Vallow was killed. So juror Victoria Lewis says she wondered why Tylee was not called as a witness.
I kept wanting to hear from Tylee.
She also noted Vallow Daybell's demeanor.
Many days she just was like smiling and laughing and didn't seem to take anything very seriously.
Jurors say the most damning pieces of evidence were text messages, specifically where Vallow Daybell referenced becoming like Nephi, a figure in the Book of Mormon who was called upon to kill a man.
There was 2 of them for me that really stood out.
Can you tell us which ones?
The Nephi.
Yeah, that was one of them. Soon you will be Nephi, and so will I.
For this juror, Carl, it wasn't until Monday's closing arguments that he believed Vallow Daybell was guilty.
Honestly, up until yesterday, I would have said not guilty. But when the prosecutor, I don't know, what do they call that? When they give their
closing argument.
Yes, the closing argument. That's really, there's a few things she said in there, and then when I looked them up today, I was like, oh yeah, that's bad.
These jurors say at the start of deliberations, there were some who believed Vallow Daybell was not guilty, but after about 3 hours of discussion, they came to a unanimous conclusion.
It's just sad that this has happened to Charles, and she's given up her life as well.
And several jurors said after leaving the courthouse today and throughout the next several days, they plan on finally researching this case and looking into Lori Vallow Daybell's history. We're live in Phoenix tonight. Bianca Bono, 12 News.
Bianca, thanks. In political news, former Cardinals kicker Jay Feely announced that he's going to make a run for Congress today. Feely saying he plans to run for the seat in District 5 in the East Valley. That seat's currently held by 5-term Congressman Andy Biggs, who's making a run for governor. Feely played 14 years in the NFL, including a 4-year stint with the Cardinals. He publicly endorsed President Trump and says the attempt on Trump's life is what convinced him to run.
Somebody who's willing to literally potentially give their life for our country, and you start asking yourself, what am I doing? And can I do more? And that's, I think, where my heart started to lean towards running for office and actually thinking about it and praying about it. And it was a big decision for my entire family.
Other politicians are also eyeing the seat, including former Pinal County Sheriff Mark Lamb and State Senator Jake Hoffman.
Today, Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs signed an executive order to improve job opportunities for individuals as they leave prison. Arizona is joining several other states like Alabama and Nebraska to join the Re-Entry 2030 initiative, which aims to improve education and employment opportunities for people who have spent time in prison. Now, one of the goals is to increase employment by 20%, according to the order. One of the guidelines instructs the Arizona Department of Economic Security to train staff so that they can better serve the re-entry population.
Meanwhile, new at 10, state lawmakers are demanding answers after 4 inmates were killed over the course of just 8 days. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly is live at the state capitol with the latest on the investigation. And Chase, it sounds like they really have some serious questions about the safety and security in our prisons.
Mark, that's right. Republicans are calling this situation inexcusable and troubling, saying that the system failed these inmates. And today we actually questioned the director for the Department of Corrections about this recent string of violence.
While promoting a new executive order that helps former inmates find work once they get out, Arizona Department of Corrections Director Ryan Thornell was mostly asked about a string of murders that took place inside his prisons.
A lot of various, again, complicating factors.
Within just 8 days, 4 inmates were killed, 1 man at Lewis Prison in Buckeye, and 3 others at a state prison in Tucson. The suspect in those 3, Ricky Wassenaar, a notorious inmate who in 2004 held 2 correctional officers hostage for days in the Lewis prison riots. When we asked Thornell if there has been a surge of violence, he said,
No, not from any review I've done thus far. Nothing leads him to believe that.
The department has also denied that short staffing led to these incidents, but some state lawmakers aren't buying it. On Monday, Republican State Senator Kevin Payne, who is also the Senate Public Safety Committee chairman, sent Thornell this letter, saying he doesn't believe staffing met operational needs and raised concerns for inmate and correctional officer safety. He is now launching an investigation into the department, demanding answers to staffing, policy changes, and reports from this incident so they can determine the missteps that led to these murders. Now the department has made strict changes to 5 of its prisons in response to the violence, including the facilities where those murders took place, announcing certain units will be on lockdown with no visitations until further notice.
I don't know how long they're going to be shut down, but they did the right thing.
Carlos Garcia is the executive director for the Arizona Correctional Peace Officers Association. He says this needed to happen years ago, but worries the impact this shutdown will have on everyone, especially correction officers, who Garcia says are short-staffed.
So this is putting a lot of stress and danger on the staff and the inmate population. They're going to be volatile. It puts the staff in a greater danger.
Director Thornell was also asked about this probe, saying that he will work with lawmakers on this, telling us that he plans on meeting with senators in the next few days. We're live at the Capitol. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
All right, Chase, thank you.